Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Dylan and I'm here to help you prepare for the upcoming SATs papers. Now, this is the third day in a row of our daily videos telling you how to pass each individual test. We've already looked at how to pass GPS, we've looked at how to pass English. There are literally tens of thousands of you tuning into these videos, so I hope you're going to get something out of this video today. We're going to see how to pass the maths paper. Let me dive straight in, but before I do, like this video, leave a comment down below, and make sure to share this to someone who you think it'll be useful for. And of course, subscribe, because we've got another video coming tomorrow, another maths video, because your maths tests are spread over 2 days. Anyway, we appreciate you. That's all I wanted to say. Love reading the comments, guys. Love seeing new subscribers. Welcome. We've got way more on the way. Anyway, let's dive straight in then. What do you need to score to pass the maths paper? Now, I've said this every day. I'm going to say it again. We do not know the 2024 pass marks. If you're watching this in the future for 25 or 26 SATs, we don't know before the test what you need to get to pass. Okay, it's as simple as that. But what we can do is look at previous data. In 2023, to achieve age expected standard, which is the standard that we all look to try and achieve as what's deemed as a pass in inverted commas, like I explained the other day. Not really a pass. We don't have a pass and fail when it comes to the SATs. It's really not worth getting worked up over at all. I promise you, as a teacher, I don't put any pressure on the children whatsoever. But to achieve the age expected score, you needed 56 marks out of 110. Every single one of these scores from 2023 was around half marks to pass, okay? And it's a really important thing to know that you're aiming for about half marks if you just want to pass the paper. Obviously, try and answer every question, try and get more than half marks, but it's good to know, isn't it, that we actually have a lot of leeway. Now, the only thing I would say is with maths in particular, to try and push to greater depth, you do need a lot more marks. You need 94 out of 110. That means if you're aiming for greater depth, you can only drop 16 marks across all 3 papers. I'm going to show you how it's broken down in a second. But that is not a lot of room for error. Okay, you need to be pretty close to perfect to get greater depth. So that's tricky. So well done if you're going for that. Now, to get 56 then, because the question on this video is, how do I pass my maths paper? Well, we need to try and get 56 here to, as always, inverted commas, pass. So how can I do that? Well, here's how it's broken down. The maths paper, on the Wednesday, the maths paper 1 and 2 will be taken. That includes an arithmetic paper and then the first reasoning paper. Then the day after that, on the Thursday, the third paper will be sat. Now, the way that 110 is broken up is it's out of 40 for the arithmetic, it's out of 35 for each of the reasoning papers. That gives us 70 in total. 70 plus 40 is 110. That's where it comes from. Now, how do you pass? Now, I promise you, teachers up and down the land look at this and they think there's a real simple formula on how to pass, because paper 1 is easier than paper 2 and paper 3. Now, why is that? Well, simply because this is arithmetic. In paper 1, you are simply given questions to answer. There's nothing to try and work out. You don't need to read a word problem and try and think, oh, is it getting me to add or subtract? You've just got to do maths. So this one here is the easiest one to prep for. This one here, honestly, everyone, there's no reason why you can't aim for a score of like 35 out of 40. You might find maths tricky, and that's completely fine. You might not be able to get to 35 out of 40. Completely fine. But if we're trying to prioritize where to get more marks, it would certainly be the arithmetic for me. Now, imagine you get 35 out of 40. You make a few mistakes, that's fine, but you've been practicing all the different questions that can come up. You've been practicing your multiplying, your fractions, etc., and you can get 35 out of 40. What does this mean? Well, it means that to pass, you only need 21 more marks across both papers. That means you could get 11 in paper 2 and 10 in paper 3. Look at this. This is a pass in the 2023 paper. Someone who really achieved well in their arithmetic and smashed that preparation, got 35 out of 40, only then needs to pick up 11 and 10 marks out of 35 in the next 2. That means you could only answer, you could basically get to a pass by answering the easier questions in the reasoning. Those tricky 3-mark questions, even some of those 2-mark questions that are really hard to understand, you wouldn't even need to pick up those marks to pass this paper. If you're going for greater depth, obviously, you're going to have to try and get everything correct. And again, even if you're going for just a pass, you're going to answer every single question to give yourself the best chance. But isn't this fascinating? You only have to break 56 up into your strengths. Okay, this is the most common way that you're going to get to 56. There might be, for some reason, someone out there who's amazingly confident with their reasoning, and they get scores like 22 and 22. Well, they're on 44 already. They only need 12 out of 40 on the arithmetic. So there's leeway. That's what I'm trying to tell you. How to pass this maths test? Well, it's just to get around half marks. And that means you can spread them out however you like. Play to your strengths. It's really important. So what I wanted to do then was show you what's going to be in this paper. Okay, because today's video is all about preparing for tomorrow. If you're watching this in 2024, as soon as it's released. And tomorrow, you're going to be sitting the arithmetic paper and the first reasoning paper. The arithmetic paper, I've managed to squeeze what I deem the trickiest types of questions onto one page. There's lots more, and we've done loads of videos on arithmetic, so go back and watch those if you want some extra help. But my point here is, look, you're just answering questions. Have you learned how to multiply fractions together? I mean, if you have, this is really, really simple. It's a very easy question to answer. It's 10 out of 63. You just multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators. That'll get you a mark straight away. This is probably going to come up in some way or another. We don't know that it definitely will, but with arithmetic, we can kind of predict what's going to come up. There will almost definitely be a long multiplication like this. Do you know how to break it up into times 4, into times 70? Do you remember about the placeholder? Are you going to add up those two numbers? It's a procedure. If you just simply learn these procedures, you're going to get good marks in arithmetic and you're going to pass this paper. Adding fractions with a different denominator. Change this to 16. So double the top. Now you've got 10 plus 3. This is 13 out of 16. These are questions you could answer in 10 seconds. Okay? So what I'm saying is with arithmetic, try and bag as many marks as possible. Okay? It's as simple as that. Down here, divide by 3. This is going to be 1 out of 24. How did I do that? Well, you flip 1/3 and then multiply. Okay? Keep, is it KFC or something like people like? I don't know what it is anyway. Not the food chain. It's a way of remembering what to do in these situations anyway. People get distracted. BIDMAS. Here, do you know the order of operations? Do you know you've got to divide before you add? Well, if you do, you know this is 8, because 8 times 6 is 48, and then you've got 70 add 8. Suddenly, you've just got another mark, okay? Long division. This will come up, okay? And it'll be 2 marks, because the 2-mark questions in the arithmetic are for long division and for long multiplication, because there's lots to do. You can get a mark for working out. My point is here, for arithmetic, get as many marks as you can. This is the one we need to prioritize, okay? So how do I pass the maths paper? Try and get as many marks as possible in the arithmetic test. 52% of 700. Do you know how to build a fact box? 50% is half, so that's 350. How do I make 2%? Well, if you know how to make 1%, which is dividing by 100, that's just 7, so 2% is 14. 52% is 50, which is 350, plus 2%, which is 14, so that means the answer here is 364. I've just picked up loads of marks on a whim, okay? That means like just out of the blue. That's my top tip. Use arithmetic to your benefit. Now, we're going to go into some detail now on the rest of this video, probably thinking there's quite a bit of time left. Yeah, because I'm going to look now. Okay, imagine that we've managed to absolutely smash arithmetic. Now I'm going to show you how to prioritize questions on the reasoning paper. You're going to answer them all, but just look and see how actually reasoning has some easy questions. This is one of them. This is a place value question. I'm going to be really honest. This is a really easy question. And if you were to get this question wrong, it's probably because we're making a silly mistake. Tick the number 80,306. Okay. Now it looks here, we've got 1 part of a number, 2 parts of a number, 3 parts of a number. So the trap here is you might think, oh, 3 parts of a number is just going to be 3 digits, right? Obviously not. And look at the answers. None of them are 3 digits. Okay. Got 80,306. Well, you might think, okay, we've got 80,000, we've got 300, and we've got 6. No, nonsense. Absolute nonsense. That is absolutely incorrect. That is not the right answer. Simply use your place value. This is such an easy question. And my point here is just read the question carefully. 80,000 goes in the 10,000s. So it's 80,000. I've got 300, 3 in the hundreds column, and then 6 in the ones. 80,306. Don't get these questions wrong. Top tip number 1, the easy questions, just take a little bit of extra time and check you've actually read the question carefully and you're not falling for silly traps. Easy marks there, a step closer to passing. This almost always comes up. It's change. This is, if I had to bet something comes up at some point in a SATs paper, it would be a question which says, how much change would you get? And it's usually with a note. So Kirsty buys 1 litre apple juice for £1.39. So whatever she bought is £1.39. She pays with a £5 note. So and on the surface, it looks like 5 take away 1.39, which is quite tricky. No, you just need to know with any note, you can add a decimal with 00. Okay, with money, you've always got 2 decimal places. Same here, 5.00. Now to work out the change, we can simply take the £5 she paid with, take off what the actual item cost, and what we're left with will be the amount of money left. This here is specifically chosen because it means you have to do 0 take away 9, and loads of children put 9. Loads of children put 3. 5 take away 1 is 4. They put 439, and they get the question wrong. This is directly testing, do you understand how to subtract from a round number like 5.00? You've got two options. I'm going to show you both of them. I want you to pick which one you think is your favorite, okay? Let me know in the comments down below. I love a little comment. I love reading the comments. What's going to be your best technique for here? Technique A or technique B? Let me show you technique A, which is this one. It's called double exchanging. So normally, if I can't do 0 take away 9, I'd have to exchange from the next column, but I've got nothing there either. So I'm going to have to exchange again. So go to the 5, turn it into a 4. Now this becomes 10 in this column here, the 10p column. Now I can exchange. So this becomes 9, and I take 1 over again to the 1p column. 10 take away 9 is 1. 9 take away 3 is 6. Put your decimal in. 4 take away 1 is 3. And that's your answer, £3.61. That is technique number? A is not a number. Technique A. Technique B now is you can use a number line. You can count up. So £5 is the larger number, so it goes up here in our number line. And the litre of apple juice costs £1.39. So the change is the difference between these two numbers. We can do jumps. So I can jump to £1.40. So that's a very easy little jump of 1p. And then I can jump to the next pound, which is £2. 2.00. 40 up to the next pound is 60p. And then finally, £2 to £5, that is a £3 jump. And all you'd have to do at this point is put all the jumps together. £3.60 and 1. We've got it right here, £3.61. Let me know in the comments right now. Would you prefer to use technique A on answering this question or technique B? Technique A is a written method. We can check it. We can make sure it's right. Technique B, eventually, that's the kind of thing you can just do in your head. That's what real cashiers do sometimes when they're at the tills if the computer doesn't do it for them. So top tip, when you're taking away from a pound note, know which technique you're going to do. That's what I'm saying. Know which one you're going to choose, A or B. Let me know in the comments. Next tip. Basically, when I saw this question, I thought, I've got to put it in. I don't have a special technique for this. The only point I wanted to make by making you look at this question before you sit the real test is this is quite easy. This is 2 marks right here. So you think reasoning, naturally you might think, oh, arithmetic, I can concentrate on that. Reasoning is quite tricky. Reasoning is full of very reasonable questions. Get it? It's full of very reasonable questions in that they're not too hard. Write the number that is 1,000 more than 19,039. Again, it's wanting you to do this in your head. You've got 19,000s. What's 1 more thousand? Well, it's going to be 20,000s and 39. But my top tip here is, if you've got a bit of time in this test, why would you not just do this? Why would you not just put 1,000 in and just make sure? There's nothing wrong with this, by the way. I would say to most people, yeah, do it in your head. Of course, that's fine. But if there's time and you're actually checking your answers, my goodness me, just make sure. 20,039, there's nothing wrong with this. Okay, don't be put off by just showing you're working out, even if you think it's an easy question. What is the number that is 100 less? Again, it wants you to do it in your head, but this could end up in a bit of a trick. There are no hundreds here. Now, you might know that this becomes 18939, but this little jump here can be a step too far for some people to do in their head. Do you know what? You've got time. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? This top tip here is, if you've got time in the test, even if you think it's an easy question, just show you're working out. 9 take away 0 is 9. 3 take away nothing is 3. 0 take away 1 we can't do, so I'm going to exchange. I get 10 hundreds now. 10 take away 1 is 9. I have an 8 here and a 1. Look, notice it's the same, but this might get you a mark. Whereas if you try and do it in your head too quick and you're not that confident, you might lose a mark. Show you're working out, even when you think it's simple. If you're sat there twiddling your thumbs at the end of the sats, la 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 la, I'm finished, I'm just letting the clock run down, go back and do it. Go back and do it. I promise you, you might notice a mistake. You might get an extra mark that might tip you into the passing range, which is obviously what we're aiming for. I've put this one in because I got a lot of comments in the last week or two. Please, Mr. Price, please, Dylan, can you do coordinates? And we just didn't have time to do a full video on coordinates properly, but I can show you how to do coordinates here because I promise you again, this is an easy question. This is the theme. Getting ready for reasoning. There are easy questions inside the reasoning. There are some very hard questions. We've done lots of prep on that. By the way, tomorrow's video is all about those really tricky 2-mark questions. So don't worry, we will go through them. You're just going to have to wait until tomorrow. ABC is a triangle. What are the coordinates of point C? To find the coordinates of a point, we go along the x-axis for our first number, and then we go up the y-axis for our second number. Okay, I say you can go on your Xbox and then have a yogurt. That doesn't make any sense at all, really, but it helps me remember that X comes first, then Y. I play my Xbox first, then I have my yogurt. Some people say along the corridor and up the stairs. However you want to remember it, it doesn't actually matter. But the only thing you do need to remember is you start at 0, 0. You start right here in what's called the origin, 0, 0. Okay, so what are the coordinates of point C? What I like to do is do a point at the origin. That's my top tip for coordinates, and a point to where I'm going. So I need to get from the origin over to this point. Now, I cannot just do that. No, that's not helpful. I need to remember that I play my Xbox first. So this is the y-axis going up, and this is the x-axis going along. So I know I'm going to go along first. Let's see how far I go along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that enough? Obviously not. If I go up here, I will miss C. This is like the grabbers at the amusements. You know, when you have to go across, then up, and then you grab the toy and it never ever grabs it properly because they're just a scam. Yeah, it's a bit like that. But anyway, on this one, we're actually going to get a mark. So let's keep going across to 6. Cool. 6 is the first number of my coordinates. I've gone along the corridor. I've played my Xbox, whatever you want to call it. I've gone along to 6. Now I need to go to point C. Am I at point C yet? No. So now I'm going to go up. Okay, now this still counts as going up the y-axis up here because that's what we're measuring, even though we're far away from the y-axis. So we go up 1, 2, 6, 2. Coordinates are simple when you know how to do them. So hopefully, I'm really hoping this part of the video has really helped a lot of you to remember, play your Xbox first, then go and have your yogurt. Along the corridor, up the stairs. Start at 0, 0. It's simple, okay? If you want an extra bit of a challenge, another comment, maybe you can leave us down below. You could put B equals and tell me what the coordinate for B is. We've not finished this video yet. I'm giving you bonus questions. Start at 0, go along the corridor, go up the stairs. What would the coordinates for B be? If I see a right answer, I'll give it a heart, okay? So leave us a comment. Again, I've had lots of preparation, lots of people asking me, please do pie charts, please do pie charts. Well, here's a quick pie chart for us to have a look at. 1,200 pupils were asked this question. My point here is, this is a trickier question. We've had a theme, haven't we? Easy questions in the reasoning, do them, get a mark. If you're stuck, and a lot of you I know struggle with pie charts, if you see this in the test, what I'm telling you is if you want to pass the maths test and you've come across a question you're stuck on, you know you only need half marks roughly. Go to the next question. Now we're imagining we've come back to this at the end because we've got a bit of time. Let's take a look. 1,200 pupils were asked this question. How important is it to have a break when using a screen? The chart shows the results. Not important, 12%. Quite important, 41%. Very important, we don't know what percent. How many pupils answered very important? Of course, it's the one we don't know. Now, my point here is, often with pie charts, we're actually hiding a different type of question. This is simply a percentage question. It's hiding as a pie chart, okay? Now, what we need to know is the whole pie chart is 100%. So that means if we have 12% not important, and 41% quite important, altogether that's 53%, we can work out what percent is left in very important to make 100% altogether. It must be 47%. Now the trap here would be, I've got 47%, put it down here, 47 pupils. No, it's 47%. So what we've actually got is a arithmetic question that we've just said earlier is quite easy. We've got 47% of 1,200. Now, this is an exact example as to why reasoning is harder than arithmetic. Because in arithmetic, you would just be given this, 47% of 1,200. In reasoning, okay, you're given this entire big chunk of thing to work out. This is proper problem solving, which actually is just masking this simple question. That's why arithmetic's easier. That's why we aim to get higher scores in our arithmetic or as high scores as possible. This is why reasoning is quite hard. So 47% of 1,200. How we do that? Well, there's a few ways. My favorite way for this one would be to divide by 100 to get 1% and then times it by 47 because 1,200 can divide by 100 really easily. 1,200 divided by 100 is 12 and then I'm going to times that by 47. So 47 times 12. If you know 12 times table, you can simply use them. 7 times 12 is 84. So the 8 goes over. 4 times 12 is 48. Add the 8 is 56. 564 pupils chose very important. Notice this. My top tip for reasoning. It's just hiding arithmetic. Okay. And if it's a really hard way to find what arithmetic question is asking, leave it and move on and come back to it at the end. That is my top tip. Now, this is the ultimate example. This was one of the hardest questions that I've seen on the SATs paper. For some of you, you might be thinking, well, this is easy. This is my bread and butter. For most children, based on the data from 2023, this was one of the hardest questions that we could find. It's missing digits. My number one top tip, if you come across a question like this is a time drainer. This will eat away all of your time. Do not sit and try and do it unless you're super confident, okay? Go and finish the rest of the paper, and when there's time at the end, this is when you tackle these questions, okay? Don't feel like you have to do it when you come across it. If there are 5 questions after this, go and do them first, or at least try them and come back to this when there's time. Let's take a look. What we've got here is we're going to try and make these digits. We're going to try and figure out what goes inside of them. 3 times 5 is 15. Now we know this top bit here would be times 3, and we know this is times something with a 0 at the end. We don't know what yet because it's missing. 5 times 3 is 15, so this should have been exchanged. 3 times 3 is 9, plus the 1 here is 10. So again, this makes 10. 3 times 2 is 7. No, it's not. We've got to add the 1. So 3 times 2 is 6. Add the 1 is 7. So 3 times what is just 9 on its own? This must be a 3. Okay? Now, at this point, there's 2 ways to go about this one. You could either do trial and improvement. Now, thinking, what can I multiply by 5 that ends in 5? The problem is there's loads of numbers we multiply by 5 that ends in 5. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Any odd number. But at least we know now that this is a 1, a 3, a 5, a 7, or a 9. And you could work through this one at a time and think, okay, well, this next one here has to end in a 7. Well, what must this have been down here? How can I get something that ends in a 7? What must I have exchanged over? Well, you must have exchanged over a 2. Yeah? Because you know it has to end in a 0 or a 5. You can't exchange over a 7 because that would be 75, way too big. So we must have exchanged over a 2. If you're not following, this is really hard, and this is my point, okay? Skip it. You can get this wrong and still get greater depth. Just remember that. Never mind passing. You could get this wrong and still get greater depth. Now, the point here is the answer is 5, okay? And we know that because, quite simply, we could do 5 times 3 and work backwards. This would be 15 with 1 left over. There'd be 1 left over there, 17, etc. But this is really hard. The best option some people have here is trial and improvement. Just put a number in and see if it works. That's going to take a lot of time. If you're on a really tricky question, move on. Top tip for passing this test. Guys, I really hope you find these videos useful. I'm going to leave you with something a little bit different today. This is a real question from the SATs paper. 8 squared plus what squared equals 73. Write the missing square number to make this addition correct. This is widely regarded as the worst written SATs question that we've seen in a long time because it is simply wrong mathematically. What number goes in here and why is it wrong? Think about it being a square number. If you know why this is wrong, let me know in the comments down below. Guys, please like this video. We're trying to beat every day the previous day. There's tens of thousands of you. It's so good to see you. If you made this far, you are a legend. And make sure you comment down below. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. We've got another maths video coming tomorrow. It's one of our best maths videos yet. It's all about those 2-mark questions, an absolute masterclass. Guys, see you then.